Let's welcome in our Powerhouse panel on this Friday morning. Get some reaction to that and more. Joining me and Allison, best-selling author and political analyst Mark Halperin and Project 21 National Advisory Board member and principal at Red Tail Strategies, Chris Arps, back with us this morning. That's not quite Joe Biden's Kofifi moment. Kleptocracy, which is a government whose leaders use their political power to gain the wealth of the people. I read that directly off the internet. You don't hear that term very often. Mark, good morning to you. TGIF, which means thank goodness it's Friday, or thank God it's Friday. Why would you, if you're a speechwriter for Joe Biden, why would you put that word in the teleprompter knowing very well that it is a daily struggle to read the teleprompter? Why?
It's an uncomfortable situation for the country, and I think for the White House staff to try to navigate the president's daily schedule, his daily remarks, both scripted and unscripted. And I think the trajectory we're on is one that's both unfortunate and potentially dangerous.
Okay. On that note, Chris, do you agree with Mark? Do you think that the American people see even less of Joe Biden over the next 6.5 months leading up to the midterms? Because that's not good, what we just saw.
I do think we see more or less of him. Throughout his presidency, we have not seen any nighttime press conferences. We saw just a moment ago that example of him tripping over the word kleptocracy. I don't think that was on the teleprompter. I think he was trying to ad-lib and just couldn't get the word out.
You think he was trying to ad-lib that word?
I do.
Who ad-libs that word?
I don't know.
Allison?
I don't know why somebody would put that in the teleprompter. You know, and I watched this a couple of times. I listened to it actually yesterday on the drive home, and it's not the word that he fumbled that was the problem I saw. It's his energy level. So if you watch video of him just even 6-7 months ago, his energy has changed so much. That's actually what got me, other than the word. We all make mistakes with words. I do it all the time on TV, but it was his energy or lack thereof that made me nervous.
Yeah, that's a good point. But we wouldn't be playing the soundbite if this weren't just the 1,000th example of something that's just a little peculiar.
And nobody on MSNBC or CNN are talking about this.
No. And what they're talking about there is the other side of what Joe Biden was trying to get across yesterday. He's going to ask Congress for $33 billion in aid for Ukraine. And at first look, you say, geez, they could use that money at our southern border, couldn't they, as they get ready to roll back Title 42. But we just passed a bill that gives the Ukrainian army $13.6 billion. Only $3.5 billion of that $13.6 has been spent so far. And Mark, Jen Psaki was asked a really simple question yesterday about what is U.S. policy in Ukraine. Is it U.S. policy for us to get behind the Ukrainian government and the army? Do we want the Ukrainians to win this? Which, if you think about that on the surface, that is like a really basic question. And Jen Psaki, for whatever reason, chose to hedge. Take a listen.
Is it the policy goal of the United States for Ukraine to defeat Russia?
Well, look, it depends on how we're not going to define that from here. That's for the Ukraine. Well, that's for the Ukrainians to define.
I mean, let's go back to, George W. Bush fighting Al Qaeda. You think Dana Perino is in the briefing room, and if somebody says, hey, are we for the U.S. against Al Qaeda? I think it would be a pretty easy answer. Why hedge there when you're asking Congress for $33 billion?
In a simpler time, we called that a Psaki dodge.
Well, you got to get the pause. You got to get the pause. We don't have time for it.
I paused as long as I could.
Yeah,
I thought you'd give me the hook if I paused any longer.
Right.
I'm gonna in a friendly way push back here, Rob, on you on the money question. Yeah, of course we could spend more money on the southern border, but I don't think it's fair to have it both ways, to say Joe Biden's not doing enough to help the Ukrainians, and now that he's proposing spending an enormous amount of money to help them, that's somehow derelict because he should be spending it on the southern border. I think Joe Biden's administration's performance in dealing with this has been strong. And as I said earlier in the program, there's a reason why they don't want to engage in a direct verbal confrontation with Vladimir Putin, because it's imperative that we keep, as much as possible, the fig leaf of the U.S. being not the central driver of this conflict.
I appreciate that. I want Chris and Allison to push back on you, though. I would just say that the administration can't have it both ways. You can't Johnny-come-lately for political purposes because the midterms are 194 days away. You can't say, nope, we're gonna give Ukraine $33 billion, but forget about the southern border, especially weeks away from rolling back something so important like Title 42. Chris, to you first, Allison, then to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a issue that a lot of people have brought up is our southern border is porous. We've got 7,000 a day coming in, 18,000 once Title 42 is eliminated. But we're spending billions of dollars on trying to secure Ukraine's border. I think there is some parallels to it, but I think the overall picture is we have to support Ukraine because Putin has broader aims than that and wants to possibly move farther west.
I'm going to push back on Mark because I know he likes when I do this. So I get it. I know why we don't want to completely say, we're siding with Ukraine because, we don't know what Putin's going to do. But we're giving them millions of dollars of aid. We're giving them weapons. We're giving them artillery. We're giving them things. So essentially, we're showing Putin, hey, we're on Ukraine's side. We want Ukraine to beat you.
Yeah, I don't know why you could just 65 days into a war, Mark. I don't know why you can't be more declarative.
Why do you care if she doesn't say it? Why do you care?
Mark, I care because the world is watching what the American president is saying. And Jen Psaki speaks for the American president. We are against kleptocracies. Okay, she needed to make that abundantly clear yesterday from the briefing room and say we are for Ukraine winning this war. If we really are we? Do we want this war to go on and on? Is the plan? I heard yesterday, Mark, hold on, you'll get a moment. Hold on, we can talk about Secretary Austin. But Jen Psaki said yesterday this money should last them about 5 months. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, 5 months? This is day 65 right now. How long do we want this to go? Do we want another Russia in Afghanistan in the 1980s?
I'll tell you what I'm worried about is not every syllable of Jen Psaki, because I think Secretary Austin made it clear that the U.S. wants to degrade Russia's capability in a pretty significant way. What I'm worried about is I don't think the president's team has the SWAT to get that money through Congress quickly. So I'm more focused on that. It's one thing to say, yeah, let's get the money, let's suggest the money.
Wow.
It's another to have the leverage to actually get Democrats and Republicans to pass that quickly.
The administration.
That's where my focus is.
Okay, I see that. The administration has been so ho-hum, though. It took Lloyd Austin 60 days. That was Sunday when he and Antony Blinken were in Ukraine. It took them 60 days to get the messaging changed suddenly. Something shifted, and all of a sudden they sort of started messaging that, yeah, the Ukrainians could actually win this. Okay, we have a minute left, and we've got a hard out, but I want to play this soundbite from Congressman Ken Buck yesterday, questioning Alejandro Mayorkas on Capitol Hill about the crisis at our southern border. It was a pretty heated exchange. Take a look.
My constituents want you impeached because they believe you've committed treason. They compare you to Benedict Arnold. Are you ashamed for what you've done to this country?
Congressman, I have so much to say.
You got a minute and 17 seconds to say it.
I won't ask you for an apology.
Don't.
I won't.
Yeah, that was really heated. The whole time it was heated. But look, he was asked, I think it was Jim Jordan asked him about the terrorists who were on the watch list who got through, and he asked him questions, and Mayorkas couldn't answer that. He's like, I have to get back to you on that. You should know, just like a year ago when he was questioned, how many migrants have gotten through? I don't have that answer for you. I don't know the numbers. This is his job to know, and he's just showing how the type of leadership he has in the job he's doing.
And what should scare everybody watching right now is when he was asked by Jim Jordan about the terrorists, he, to your point, couldn't give any sort of even vague estimate about whether or not they've been released into the
That's
rest of
something
the...
you should know.
Yeah, in that role, absolutely. Panel, really enjoyed the conversation. Have a wonderful weekend. Mark Halperin, Chris Arps, we'll see you soon. Mark, by the way, I think the Red Sox are cooked in 2022.
No.
I know, I think it's over.
Too soon to say.
Mark.
Four Musketeers.
Yes. All right, guys,
That's
good
us.
stuff. Have a good weekend.
Go
Mark, Chris, thank you.
Chris, I'll see you later.